Top of the morning to you, folks. Just let a little time click off here while I get my brain set on my shoulders correctly. It's January the 7th. And I do pray you're well and ready to make a dent here. Hope you got cuppa to make a dent in. I'm having black tea. I'm having Thai Fu. I'm back into drinking Thai Fu. Yes, I didn't spell this wrong. I didn't spell it what. I spelled what are you doing with it? We're going to talk about water today. Well, it's a watercolor class. So if you've come on to talk about oil or pastels or acrylic, no. Or gouache, I'm not even going to talk about gouache, even though that's a form of watercolor that's leaning toward that. I'm just going to talk about watercolor. So keep the conversation to watercolor, and we'll be off to a great start. That's where we're headed. Robin Wood, oh my gosh, voice from the past. I hope you're doing well. Hey, listen, here's what we're going to do. For the next few minutes, as this music dies down, I'm going to make sure this is sort of focused. I still think the great painters, the impressionistic painters, were probably nearsighted. That's why when you're putting the lights on your Christmas tree, you squint. You see all the highlights and the lowlights and the contours and the tonal qualities and the perspective a little bit. And I think that's why you squint. So I think that some of my best work is when I forget to put my glasses on. Hey, I hope you're well. Let me just do a quick hello through who's here, and then let's get started because I got a busy day. I got to tell you about my morning yesterday morning at the Renaissance Patisserie, the French pastry shop here in Charlotte. It's one of our favorite places to go. It's not inexpensive, so I don't go there as often as I'd like because, I have a hard time paying for one scrambled egg that I thought, I could buy 2 dozens of eggs, 5 dozen eggs with this. But look, it's the overhead, it's French chefs, I get it, and it's the experience. And so it's all worth it. Beverly Schmidt, good morning to you. Virginia Mann, Lori Stanley, Handelmeyer Henderson, thanks for being on the show. Ferns Kelly, Robin Wood, out of the past. How about that? Welcome to being on the show this morning. Jennifer Yentz, Heather Fubert, I think I sent you a note this week. Thank you for your note back and forth. Steve Catlett, good morning to you up in Sleepy Creek. Man, it's sleepy here and I'm not even on a creek. Jason, good talking with you. You and I need to connect today. I've got a friend I want to connect you with in New York in the spring of the year. So start getting some things ready for that. I got an idea for you. Come on. It happens where friends are located. And so we're going to talk. Looks like there might be some buffering. Yeah, and I'm not sure what that is. I'm going to try that with this camera today. I'm noticing my internet is punching really strong. And so I noticed that I've had a little bit of buffering going on, and I'm not sure if it's this camera. Everything's 1080p right now. Wait a minute. Let me try out one thing here. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to look at this. Video file. What's it say? No, that's happening. All right, let me see here. Output. Let's go into the output and see what it's saying. Video output. Let's go. NDI is off. Let's go 1080p and see what happens. Boom. All right, I just changed a couple things on my click here. Sometimes when you update a program, it doesn't pop back into all the things, and there's been enough sharing of this. Virtual cam is off. Sharing window. All right, we'll see if that does a little better. It could just be, I'm like Bigfoot. There's nothing wrong with your camera. It's the fuzzy artist. All right. So let's give that a little shot and see if that works any better here. Linda Martin from Middle Tennessee, Tamberly Marie, Linda Schleitning, Judy Wyman. Good morning, Judy. Back on the show. Love to see you here. Raylene Culberson. June Jones. Hope your sense of humor made it through the holidays. Crystal, Lisa Predasaur. I always say it. She said it's like dinosaur, Pedasaur. Denise Albright, always love to have you on from out there in Exeter, California. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, James O. Wade, thanks. Good morning. Happy birthday to me. Pass the water. Love it, brother. Laurie Buccelli, love that. Belushi, I think it is. Laura Abbott, thanks for being on. Okay. All right, so here we go. Here's what I want you to talk about. I want to talk about with you a little bit, and it's real simple. It's Saturday morning. It's kind of a freelance deal. It's not one of my Patreon classes. It's not where I'm digging into an outline. It's just where I'm going to be free to do something. And after my meeting in the patisserie yesterday and having a croissant, I patisseria. Chip and I were visiting there, my dear friend Chip, and he showed me two things. And he is such a dear friend, dear brother of mine, that he will not mind me picking on him just a little, because I got some great news for him. His sketching is improving immensely, and he still grips his pencil so tight that it makes an indentation in his finger sometimes. So, Chip, if you're listening this morning, I haven't seen your name pop up, but if you are and you're watching this on the replay, that's for you. Lighten up, back your hand up, and just remember, you said it yesterday. You said, let it skate across the ice. You were talking about the brush, but the pencil too. Sketch lighter if you sketch at all. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If I do sketch, I sketch with a pen. You go, gasp, what if I make a mistake? So what? You've made one, now get over it and move on. Watercolor is the magic of letting water and color mingle together, fumato, and let them create this atmospheric look that you just go, I love what's happening here on the paper, and that's why I got into this. This is not fine detail painting. You know my story. The lady told me, hey, I don't buy anything but fine art. I don't think I can buy your art. And I said, well, that proves it. It's fine with me. You like me, you buy my art. And so it's a crazy story that I do. That story and many more like it with some of my helps are in a book called Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. But here's what I want you to see. And I want you to stick with me this morning if you can. Francine Potter, thanks for being on the show. Joan Carey, welcome to you. Trish Brown, Deborah Spangler, Pat Lightbody, Great Scott. Okay. Oh, I grew that way. Have a little bump from holding a death grip on my pencil. So some of you understand what's happening. Chip says got a large cup of this morning, like yesterday. Okay, so Chip, I'm going to pick on you a little bit, but I'm going to pick on you in the dearest way. Help me teach this class, which is what you did yesterday. Chip and I sat in this coffee shop for an hour and a half, and we talked and visited about lives and family and all the things that we do. And then we opened up the art bags. And so when Chip opened up his bug out bag, okay. So I hope your ears are burning, brother. I see you're on the show. I'm going to talk good about you because I love you, man. Just a dear brother to me. When he pulled out his bug out bag, his zipper bag, and he pulled it out of this great leather carry bag or this canvas leather bag that his wife gave him, I'm going like, that thing rocks, man. He reaches down in there and it takes like both hands to pull out all the stuff. The bug out bag was made, so I've loaded it up here to show you what it was like when he pulls all this out of here. He's got ink and he's got pens. He's got a handful of stuff like this. It looks like he just plucked an ostrich. And so all these little feathers and pieces come out and he goes, there's a couple pens here that I've never even used. They still have the little rubber bumper on the needle. I'm going like, dude, what do you carry? He said, I could carry everything in this bag plus the kitchen sink if I had a smaller kitchen sink. And I think he was right. And that gave me the idea of this is about the kitchen sink. This is about water. And so we spent the next hour. His sketches are so good. They are so close to what he wants to do. He's doing exactly what I've been asking people to do. Why am I painting 2,000 honeybees? Because by the time I get to 1996, I will have just about realized how many different ways I can paint a honeybee by muscle memory. So that's the practice that I'm into right now. It's repetition over and over and over. It's the practice that medical people do. Took my grandson out to dinner last night with a sweet little young lady. Carol and I took them out, and she is an artist, and she wants to be a vet. And we all went, whoa, that's so impressive. But the practice that you have to get into, it's like medical. You never stop practicing. Every animal is different. Every painting is different. Don't get so locked in that you forget to look up and catch a little air every now and then. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about water. So basically this is it. I realized that just in the first few minutes with Chip, it wasn't about his sketches. And by the way, if you don't sketch well, start sketching something over and over and over. That's why I carry sketch journals with me all the time. All these little size different notebooks that I carry around and all the sketch journals that I constantly open and flip through here, from trips to Maine to wherever you go. just for heaven's sakes, just start sketching something and then add some color to it. Put your camera away unless it's if you got to run and catch an Uber, or if you're on a bike, or if you're walking to the next loop around the corner. If you're in Acadia National Forest Park, clip that shot, but remember it. Don't paint it just like your photo. You have a photo, paint it like you remember it. So when Chip and I were sitting there talking, it wasn't his sketches. It wasn't his paint. He said, I think there's something wrong with my palette. And he opened it up like this. This is true stories. You can ask him. And he said, I said, wait a minute. You just put it in a little tin. Are these American Journey colors? You're using the same colors that I'm using. Well, you have a different green. You have two greens. You don't have a little bit of orange, which I keep some in there. That's one of my palettes. This is another palette. By the way, what's the difference in these palettes? Nothing. Same paint, different boxes. This one stays on my desk all the time. It's an old Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, depending on what part of Paris you're from. And I just put American Journey paint in here. Buy it in the tube, squeeze it in. So carry this one with me sometimes in the spring of the year a little more because it's got different greens. But I can make those greens out of yellow and green. This one just has a little green tucked away in here. And he asked me about brown. And I said, well, because my roosters have to be grounded and I use a lot of rust because I'm paint farms type stuff, I wanted a little brown in there just to rush because I hurry. I paint quicker. So out of his palette, I realized he had good tools, or out of his bag, he had good paint. So it's not the paint, it's not the tools. We upgraded paper. We talked about upgrading paper some. I'm painting today on Kilimanjaro 140 pound bright white. There it is right there. It's 100% pure cotton. Why do I like pure cotton? Because the way it holds water, soaks in water, and because of the way it helps the undulations in the paper, the rough watercolor paper, hold color and make color pop. That's for my style. So if you go back and watch this, you're going to say, why did he say he liked that paper? Because his style suits this paper, and this paper suits his style. What is that? It's a bright thing. So I'm going to do two paintings for you real quickly this morning. And one of them is just real quickly here on this watercolor paper. And I'm just going to do what I say do all the time. So let's go from there. If you've got questions, you know what to do. About every 10 minutes or so, I'll pop in and throw a couple cues up there and go search. And if a cue comes up in the search, I'll answer the question, hopefully. Okay? So Jason has said it here. He's put it into a mathematical equation. Loose plus grip plus, no, he didn't. He just said loose grip equals looser lines and brush strokes. And he's absolutely right. Today I'm going to be using a couple different brushes. I'm going to use some of my bamboo brushes. These are Yasutoma brushes. And by the way, as a truth, these two were sent to me for free. When they were sending me brushes to send out to you guys for free. Yasutoma is in Torrance, California, a Japanese company who's been shipping art supplies into this country since 1954. And the funny story of them sending me a photo, it was my hand like this over this painting and this brush, and they said, is this you? Yasutoma Corporation, and it was signed by my friend now, didn't know her then, Phoebe, and I said, it was this photo, came in an email, and I said, well, that's definitely my hand. If that's your brush, I don't know, and yes, that's my rooster that I'm painting. And so how would I know if it was your brush? Ding! Email. So, well, it would have the word Yasutoma on it somewhere. And I go, well, I've worn this one off. It doesn't have anything on it that I can read. No name. This one has a little bit, but the one I was using back then. And so, but I went, wait. Is it YAS? And she goes, that's us. And I said, okay. And so that prompted a phone call for an hour. We talked art supplies and their story. And I just fell in love with their company. I have 2 packs of these, and these hang above my desk here. And why do I hang them up? Because this is goat hair, and when it's wet, if I hang it on here like this, it dries out and it gives me a good point hanging down. When you pack these in your bug out bag, make sure you pack them carefully, and you also pack them so that they don't get crushed flat like this. Excuse me, I'll show you on paper there like that. You don't want them to get crushed flat like that and stay like that for a long time. They'll straighten back out, but it'll take a little while. So that's why goats are, when they get up in the morning, they're stiff. I just made that up. Okay, here we go. All right, so it wasn't his tools. It wasn't his paint. He was treating watercolor paint It's watercolor paint. He was treating it like it was acrylic or oil. Chip was, because he loved to paint acrylic and oil. And so he was treating this like that. And I'm going like, no, no, no. If you want to paint acrylic. But that's another show somewhere else. I don't paint it because you have to hold your brush differently. You have to use different brushes, and you have to push the paint around, and you have to pile it on. Sometimes you can use a palette knife, and I generally have one up here because, here we go. Shoot, I have a lot of them over here. I use palette knives sometimes, even for watercolor. And so, but this is how you want to slip it around and move it here and there. My point is, this is watercolor. It ought to take off. It ought to be free-flowing. So here we go. Stop talking, Mr. Roo Man, and paint. So here's what I'm going to do. Ready? Put a little music on. Miss Carla, welcome. Barbara, welcome. Pat Brooks, pray you're well, my friend. Pat, Pat, of course, illustrated Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle for me, and I love that very much. Here we go. So I'm going to, what makes a painting successful for you? Jason, that's good QQQ right there. What makes it? Try Strathmore watercolor paper, Robin says. No, Robin, it's an inferior paper to this because it has no cotton in it. So for me, I can paint it sometimes, but most of the time I can't. So I can't buy it at a big box store. I can't even buy it at Hobby Lobby. And Hobby Lobby production company and I have had a lot of talks together. They're changing a piece of paper and trying to get it a little different after our talk last April in Orlando. Not because of me, but because of some stuff they're working on. But Strathmore is okay. Canson is a higher end of that. If you're going to look for papers from big box stores, I won't name any of those stores. None of them sponsor me anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All right. So, was that to Jason? I'm sorry. Could you try Strathmore paper? Oh, I see. That was to Jason. Yeah, but Jason's on to this kind of paper also. So, all right. So here we go. Stick with me for a second. I'm going to show you what I do with this. All right, ready? Here's my style. Now, like it or not, this is the style that I work. So, Jason, your question was, what makes a good watercolor? What makes a painting successful for me? Great question. I think it's one thing is that somebody connects to it. Boom. One is I love it first. It resonates in my head, my heart, my soul, my being, who I am as a storyteller, who I am as a maker, who I am as a humorist, who I am as a spiritual person, who I am as a hopeful person in life. It's not about Fox News. There's enough art about that if you're looking for, or NBC, any network news, any CNN, just pick one. It's not about news. I haven't watched the news in a year and a half, and I probably haven't missed anything in the country. And I know they haven't missed me. They're not thinking about me anyway. And so the point is that I'd rather be creating and helping folks think about you're a maker. You were made on this earth. You were created on this earth to do something. So do something good. And so for me, that has been music over the years. It's been building over the years. It's been art now. And so for me, I want to paint something that connects to someone some way. Jason, you and I, and even Chip have had this conversation in different places about bridges, that you're painting bridges. And by the way, just so you know, I'll show you, Jason, using you as an example. This bridge that you painted, Jason, and signed over here, you wouldn't even have to put where it is, but I asked you to do that on this bridge because it's important to me. When I saw this painting, I called you immediately and said, stop, put the brush down, I'm buying that right now. And so this is the Bridge of Lines in St. Augustine. Carol and I used to drive down A1A Coast. We would eat lunch at A1A L Works, and we would walk across this bridge. We would sit on the bay. As I told some of you this the other night. We'd sit on the bay, and when that horn blows, whoop, we'd watch the bridge go up and watch the boats come through, the ones with tall masts. This pen and ink sketch right here, unfinished, just washed a little bit, is my style. It connects me. And so I took it yesterday to get it sized and to get it framed. And it's not even going to stay in my studio. I'm going to put it down in my house because every day I look at this, I go, I love that land. I love that blue sky. I love that 70-degree weather. I love going down there and having something to eat and onion rings and coconut shrimp at A1A L Works and walking across this bridge. I love this. It connected me. So is your art connecting you, but is it connecting other people? Why did this art connect Jason? I'll bet it's because he's an architect. Oh, yeah. And I bet it's because he loves design. And this is one of the most beautiful bridges around. I just saw the side red yesterday from Venice. I love it too. I want you to still do a lot of those New York bridges. That's coming, and then go meet my friend in New York. And so, just like just like your friend, our friend, sorry, Denise is into dogs, and somehow you got to put all that together. I'm gonna rip a page out here. This is 140-pound Kilimanjaro, bright white, 5.5 inches by 10. It's 140-pound cotton, 140-pound weight. That's rough or cold press, and it's 100% cotton. It's going to paint different than a lot of papers that you ever painted on because of the cotton and because of the way it's made and rolled. It's made in England. And so is it outrageously expensive? Not too bad. I mean, that page is probably 18 or 22 bucks, but there's a lot of paper in there. There's also a fly sheet in there. So here we go. I'm going to start with this first. First thing I'm going to do is I can start with a sketch if I want to. Just a real quick sketch. I know it's almost been 20 minutes here and I haven't painted anything. Could you use parts? But this show is about me answering your questions too, because you're the guys who are painting watercolor. Okay? Everybody's going to have their own ideas, their own style, their own pens, their own paints, their own brush. I get emails all the time. Have you tried Daniel Smith? Have you tried HDR? Have you tried QR? Yes. But you don't change paints. No, it's not that I'm so loyal to the brand, but I love Joe Miller personally. He's a dear, dear man. But I also love the way his paint flows in the water on the paper that I use. And so I just stuck with it. Why? It's one of those things I don't need to fix. So I'll stay here. But thank you. Find what you love and go with it. I'm not telling you to use this paper. It's the only paper you can use. Far be it from me. It's the paper that I love and the style, and I know how it responds. I did recommend to Chip yesterday, if you're going to buy any paper, buy 2 pads of the same paper. Don't buy this one and that one, unless you're experimenting early on. But when you get serious, buy, let's say it's 140-pound Fabriano. Why do I not paint with Fabriano? I don't like the tractor roughness. It looks like it doesn't look natural. It looks like it's all been run over with the same tire. Sorry, Fabriano. I like Hanemula. Okay, theirs is more natural. Great, expensive paper. Works well. I just get recommendations all the time, and I get recommendations. Could you use parts of different size straws to put the ends to your brushes to protect the ends? I could, yes. But, and in fact, some of them do come that way. Can you see these right here? These have little covers on them. Once I take these covers off, I never put them back on because I store them. But you could if you were traveling with them. You could slip them in there. I also have a roll that rolls my brushes up and slips in. But here's the thing. When I'm traveling, I only carry 3 brushes most of the time. This is it, or 4 brushes. I carry these 4, or I'll carry this brush, these 3, and I'll carry the brush in my pocket. So if I'm traveling, if I'm on an airplane or a train, I'm trying to reach into my pocket here, but my pocket knife got in the way, and I'll carry this brush here. Excuse me. Voila. So those are the 4 brushes that I'll generally carry when I'm traveling. This is a number 4. This is a number 6. This is American Journey. This, of course, is a Joe Miller. It's called pseudo nylon, but it's made like a Kolonsky sable brush. So it's pseudo sable, and really paints well. I painted Chip. I did this lobster, or that crab that I did for you yesterday with this little brush. Just keep it in my pocket. What would be different than painting with this one? Nothing. It'd just be one quick brush that I've got with me all the time. At any time in the day, I have this, and this with me. Those three things right there. Last night I did a painting at the restaurant and left it with the waitress. It was a shrimp, holding a shrimp cocktail, and we loved our deal, and she did our service, and so I always leave a painting. Sundays I leave 2 at one of my favorite restaurants here when we go there, probably once or twice a month, just after church. All right, so these 3 things stick with me all the time. Somewhere in my car probably is right, but this goes back into my pocket. Okay, this is the Pilot Kakuno. And here we go. I'm just going to, for the sake of you seeing this, I'll just use a pen. What the heck? This is a Pentel 05, and I'm going to show you how I do this little rooster really quick with just lots of water. So I'm going to do a small one and a large one. Here he is. He's looking back over his shoulder like this. There's his beak. Here's his comb. This is his waddle coming down. He's coming like this. You've seen me paint this rooster before. He's standing on this one leg like this, kind of proud. This one toe's pulled out a little bit, and he's got like that one. This one here, he's holding it up. My dad used to say, "Why does a rooster stand on one leg?" And I say, "Gosh, I don't know." And he says, "Because he's holding the other one up." And I'm going like, "That's really a bad joke." He says, "It's not a joke, son. It's the truth." And so the truth is when he's holding one up, but I caught him in a little bit of action here. I'm just going to scribe across here like this with this hash marks. You see me do this many times. But what I want you to see is that some people can sketch this all day long. I can sketch this in my sleep. What was that, about 45 seconds or less for this painting? Sometimes I'll take and put a little star here, just a little piece like that, and I'll bring the hackles in, and I'll bring just a little bit of this down here, and I might even be known to put in some marks. I don't want to put too much in because I'm going to lay the water to this. When I mean lay the water to it, I mean get serious about water. I'm going to work with a maybe a moist palette. So watch this. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to take my spray bottle and just give this a little bit of a lightening up. Here, wake up. Yesterday I didn't do that when Chip and I were together, but I could have. I've got a clean paper towel here. That's rare for me, isn't it? And then I'm going to go like this. When I filled up the water, my water jar this morning, I filled it up with kind of medium hot water, so it's still kind of nice and warm. Warm water. Hey, if you're a cook, warm is catalyst for everything. All right. So yes, Donna Buckley, I could put straws on there. Chip said he was dragging the brush. He needed control. I love that. And the other thing is, Jason, Pat answered this really well. The final product is something you'd love to keep. Look, my wife is one of the best gift givers that I know of in the world. Oh my gosh. And it's not that it's so eloquent and rich, and we're not rich. The point is, but she gives things that she would really love to keep. She goes, yeah, our grandson last night, she said, Liam, I gave this bracelet to your mother for her birthday, and I had a hard time letting it go into the box to wrap it. I loved it so much. And that's what our artwork. Sometimes I know artists who can't sell paintings. And I'll go, I may do it again sometimes. And I've had a couple in my life that I'm just going like, I'm going to keep that painting. I don't have many like that. In fact, I don't think I have any like that anymore. But I do have some art that's mine. I only have probably one or two pieces of mine on the wall. I have a little piece up here that's taped on the wall. That's just this big that I keep sometimes. And it's a reminder for me about my wall over here. All right, so here we go. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to grab some water. And look, if you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to move my camera really close just for a second. So just hold on. Ride with me here for 1 second. I'll come back into focus here in just a minute, I think. There it comes right there. That should be pretty close. Okay. All right. Okay, Skeeter's on the show, so we can start now. Do you have a double set in your travel bag, or do you always pack everything you need? Both. Great question, Ricky. Bastien Govers. Woohoo! Way out of the country. Thank you for being on the show today. Ricky, what I do is sometimes I'll keep 2 or 3. I have several of these pens. I have the Preppy pens that I keep in there. I carry, and I have several 05 Intergels. I also have a couple of these. This is my Kakuno, and this is just a Kakuno, same pen, just in a different case. So sometimes I'll have duplicates, but if I know I'm going to be gone for one day, I'll just pack what I need in my pocket, and I'll throw that bag in there, and it'll have an extra. It'll have a couple refills in it for my pens. It'll have 2 brushes that I could use. So if I pick up a jacket and all this was in my jacket pocket, I've still got something in my bag. So I duplicate that sometimes. But I know that I keep some things in my bag that are ready to go. That's why they call it the bug out bag. I don't have to go I got to go pack my bug out bag. If you're on the airplane and they say you're bailing out now, you want to make sure that everything you needed is in that bag. So does that answer your question? Both, but yes. If I know I'm going to be gone for a week, then I'll pack it a little heavier. Pat, I love that. If your husband has a harder time letting go of your art, including commissions, sometimes, yeah, he gets, I call that postpartum blues, is that when you sell a piece of art, you don't get over it. It is a real thing. I made it up, but it's a real thing. Postpartum, it's like postpartum. It's like when you have a child, you go, wait, I birthed that baby. I love that baby, and I could not love anything more than that baby, but I miss, that was my baby. And so my blacksmithing work, I used to have a hard time doing that. And before I finished a painting, before I finished a piece of blacksmithing years ago in my shop, I would actually start working on something else. And that allowed me to shift my focus to another piece of art. And that's how I got past my postpartum blues. That term came to me blacksmithing years ago. Okay, I'm just throwing some water all over this and just sort of splattered it as I go. And just, it's getting really crazy heavy in there. Now I'm just going to grab a little bit of this, and I know I want some blue in the tail. So I've come over here in my color, and I'm not pushing my paint down in the color as hard as I can. I'm just sort of rolling it in here like this. Rolling it around, especially if it's a bamboo brush. And then I'll go in here and I just put it in and just let it sort of go where it needs to go. Look, and so what's happening now is that it'll follow the path of least resistance. And what's that path of least resistance? That path is where the water is sort of ganged up and piled in. And so there it is. And so then I want to grab a little bit of black in there and just lamp black. A lot of people don't carry black on their watercolor palettes, but for roosters, I need black. If you're painting a lot of dogs and you had dogs' eyes or noses, instead of you making your own black each time, or with Payne's gray and a little blue and red and deep magenta, you could just have some black on there. It's up to you. It doesn't matter. I carry normally 6 colors in my palette with a couple little add-ons of just up in the lid. Little gamboge. This is just a nice yellow that I like here. Perfect for that. And then I'm going to take a little shot of that red out of there just with a paper towel. So I reached up and I dried a little, but I'm going to grab this and just pull it back and go down in here like this and just let some of this lightly come in. So where I've got extra water up there, notice that it's mixing with the paint and it's making that a little, I'm going to back up just a smidge here. Takes me just a minute to focus this camera because it's, if I put it on autofocus, as some of you know, it'll start focusing on my hands and you'll miss the detail that I'm giving you here. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a little bit of this in here. By the way, this is a big brush. This is a number 3. It's a number 2 bamboo. It's a number 2 Yasutoma bamboo brush. So it's goat hair, about 1.25 inches long. It points really nice. So I can do some detail with it if I want to. I don't want to too much because I'm just sort of kind of making a mess out of this. And notice I just touched a little red right there to let it mingle in. This is why I put lots of water on my paper. I'm not brushing that. I'm just going to let it just kind of do what it needs to do. Probably touch a piece of yellow to it. And look, can you see it moving? It's just moving right there. It's doing its own thing. I believe this rooster needs a little bit of Terry Tardy turquoise down here. It's not really the name of the paint, but somebody told me I should get Joe to do me a rooster leg yellow, but I'd rather him do me a rooster head yellow. That would be better. I'm going to go here and mix a couple colors. I normally mix all the time on my, some of you have heard this over and over, I normally mix all the time on my painting itself, but in this case for legs, I like a little separate leg color, and it's just going to get some gamboge, some Red Hot Mama. That's my red color, or Joe's red, and a little bit of French gray. You got to keep French gray in there if you're going to eat at the patisserie in Charlotte. Okay, so then I'm going to grab a little bit of this, and I'm going to come in like this. I want a little more orange in that. Come in, and then I'm going to do these toes. And so there's a little bit of a light yellow in this today, just like so. And that's going to come in there. Now I hit the turquoise on purpose. I punched up into it, and so a little of that's going to run down. Why? Because I've got plenty of water on here. Lots of water, more water than you'd ever think about having in a watercolor painting. Look what's happened up here because I picked it up. I have this brush coming down, so watch me stop some of this. Can you see right here where this is running down the neck? I like it, but I'm going to cut some of it off right there. And I'm going to go put a little bit more yellow back on top of that and then let it come in. So it's mixed just kind of the fun way that I wanted it to mix. I can say that now. I didn't know what it was going to do, but I love this. These are surprises that watercolor will give you if you paint with water first. This is bringing out the kitchen sink. So Chip, your kitchen sink concept really sort of made me go, yep, it's the kitchen sink that some people are missing. I'm going to come in and just touch a little bit of orange on top of those feet. Maybe for a little contrast underneath, okay? And then a little bit of dark right up in here. And I'm going to show you another way to get dark in this painting in just a second. Watch this. You're going to love it, other than I just hit it with that brush right there. Let me finish this, and then I'll show you one more little thing that I do here. I'm going to take this and just wet it. This is just the pen bleeding into that. If I run into that orange a little bit, so what? For heaven's sake, so what? If I like it, I turn it loose. Does my painting connect with people? Do people get my art? Do they have to, when the guests come over and look at your art on the walls that you have, do you have to explain it to them? Well, you see, this artist was having this time, and they were down in Belize, and they, and you go like, it's a basket. And you go like, yeah, but it connected to that person. But if people come in and go, oh, wow, look what this is. This is bread, or this is, do they connect with still life? Or do they connect with something the humorous? A lot of mine has storytelling and humor in it. So I try to make my art that I love first, that's painted with my heart and not just out of service. I have some art painted out of service. I'm painting for Grit coming up next week. They send me 4 or 5 topics out of the magazine when I paint for their magazines, which I've been doing for 6 or 7 years, maybe more. And so I get to look at it. They say, hey, here's some of the articles that's going to be in the magazine. Have fun with it. They don't tell me what to paint, so it's not a true commission. It's just really a fun thing to look at and say, okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this one because my heart can get behind it. And so I choose something that makes me laugh. I think the reader would open this and go, oh my gosh, I just read that article, and here it is fleshed out in its Roodoodles style. It's been Roodoodle-filed or fied, and that's kind of what I want to do. Maybe filed is a better word. So anyway, that's kind of where I go with that. Does that make sense? A little French blue up here, or French gray up here just on this. And then sometimes I'll just grab my brush here with a little water and whatever's in it, and I'll just sort of flip it on the paper like this, hit it on my hand, and you see some spots happen. So I'm going to back off one more time here so you can see the whole thing kind of finished. Come in with the focus. Give me a second here to put my glasses back on. That's pretty close. So you see, I suddenly have this rooster that has all of these white holidays in it because I didn't close up all the spaces. I left this white. I left lots of little white here. I like where this black brush touched and it's running down his leg. That's the inside leg, would be showing a shadow anyway. I think this toe over here needs just a touch more rooster leg color on it. I like where this orange and black came together here. I'm suddenly telling you what I like about the painting that I didn't do. It did it itself. And this is the advantage of throwing a kitchen sink at it full of water. Lots more water than you think. This week, if you wanted to jump on, and I've been doing this with my Patreon folks, I'm saying, one, do research and find style, but also just try and paint with a little more water. If you don't have a bamboo brush, I don't know why you'd be watching me for 2 years and not have one. They cost, oh my gosh, they're outrageous. I think this one is $4. I think this one is $4. I think they're probably in the $3.95 range or something like that. If you're paying $8, $9, $10 for a Winsor Newton brush, stop. Get some from Yasutoma. I think Joe Miller has them for $4 in the jar somewhere. I'm going to brushing up my tea and let this dry for 1 second, show you one more trick, answer a couple questions, and then I'm going to do a big painting for you. So, haven't already even played any music. I painted this without music this morning. So, let me go back and see what I got here. Okay, I'm paranoid about my pens losing ink or drying up, so I always carry a few with me. Yeah, Jason, that's why I do. I carry an extra pen sometimes. It's no big deal, one extra pen. Throw a few in. Or, since you paint with so many fountain pens, I carry one of these, another little box that I have, and it has a refill for every pen that I have. So sometimes I'll just throw that in my other little bag, and I'll have it in there, especially if I'm gone for more than 2 days. There's no way I'm going to dump a pen in 1 day out. Elaine says Payne's Gray is essential. Donna, we know you carry it all the time. We think probably you use it as mascara. That's a compliment. Wait a minute, my phone's ringing. I never get phone calls during my show here. It's a potential spam. Thank you. This is a live studio. You're the third caller. Would you know about watercolor painting roosters? Oh? He's gone. All right. All right. Sorry, my phone was not turned off. Okay. Love how you let the water work. Let's see. I do have some really cheap watercolors from when I first started. I use them and the ones I have. You know what? I use what you have. That's no problem. It's not an embarrassment to use the tools that you have. But I'll just tell you that sometimes cheap watercolors do what inexpensive, let's call them inexpensive, watercolors do. And they just don't have the body and the light fastness and the pigment to make them the way that my style needs to look. My style. Does that sound really selfish? Not really, because I want this to hold up and I want people to go, I like his paintings because they're bright. I want my paintings to be small. I want them to be seen, and I want people to come in closer and go, what is that rooster saying? And that's the part that I really do like when I'm doing this. So that's the reason that I do this. I'm going to go in and add a little bit of color with just a pen. Watch this now. I'm going to grab, this is an 03. I think I had a 2 here somewhere. Let's see if this 3 is working. This is a Preppy pen, another $5 item right here. A Preppy pen has carbon ink. Carbon ink, different than Pilot ink or Safari ink or even black ink or Sumi ink. There's a Sumi ink. There's a little black ink. Different than these. And by the way, I don't fill my pens. This is, you know what, if you have to pay $2 more for having ink in a cartridge, for heaven's sake, spend the $2, because if you're on a train in Paris trying to put ink in your pen, it ain't going to work. Okay, so for me, I'm going to go in now and I'm just going to take my pen and I'm just touching this rooster like this. And I'm doing a little bit of feather shadowing in here with this fountain pen just because I wanted some. And when I put it in a wet area like this, it's going to continue to act like a watercolor. Guess what? It's water-based ink. That's why I use it. And it's going to run out. Now, every now and then I'll just, and also I can come out here and do some little frilly little, I can use my end of my brush or my pen as a paintbrush. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to stuff it up. He's going to ruin his pen. And if I do, I'll just come back and I'll drag it out over here. If it really gets bad, I'll stick it in a water bottle. I'll shake it one time till I see it go black again. I've made a mess here. But I'll get that. I'll go in. And it's going to take it a second to come back out. There it goes right there. And then I'll put some more little marks right in here like this. Okay? All right, now I've got ink all up in there, but I'm going to keep going until I get it black again. This cartridge is almost empty, Jason. That's a good point in time. Come in right there with a little touch. If I wanted to lay this pen down, I can lay it down on the side and pick up some ink right there. Okay, now, so what happens if you do push it too hard? Then take it, dip it in your water, and roll it off a little bit and clean it. These are pretty tough pens. These are made for college students. That's why you can get them for $5. You know what I know about college? Nothing. Okay, so, but I know that's who they're made for because I know they pitch to, I bought both of these in the Boone store, which is like just 2 miles from the Appalachian State campus. Okay, all right, so tubes versus pans, light body, Pat light body. Always for me it's tubes. Here's why. I think the viscosity of the tube, I think pans dry out flatter and they tend to crack, and I think the pigment is a lighter weight already. This is a personal opinion and only what I've read. When I get watercolor paint in tubes and I fill in, then I have to buy 18 colors to get the 6 colors that I want. This is the 6 colors that I want right here. And so for me, I can buy those 6 colors. Look, you can paint it. For the first 2 years I painted, I only used Gamboge, which is my yellow, Joe's red, which is my red, and ultramarine blue. I just used the 3 primaries. If you go back to 3rd grade and they said, these are your primaries, these next 3 are your secondary, the next 3 are your tertiary. You go through that whole color wheel. Have I ever painted a color wheel? No. Do I care if these 2 colors complement this? Only a little bit. If I were doing architectural grading or if I were creating something that had to be commission work, for me, I don't care. I'll put it in there. If I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't like it, I'll keep it anyway. But most of the time, I know that orange and blue, think about your sports teams. You go, they can put teal with anything. Put teal with white, put teal with green, you can put teal with yellow. It works. But I don't put it right on it, but I'll put the orange on the yellow or orange on the blue. And so now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a Pentel 07, okay, that's this pen right here, and I'm just going to use it because I can draw over with this pen, ink pen. I can draw over some of my wet watercolor, and I'm coming in. I'm doing a little detail here on and I might come in here and put a little more touch right in there. Let me go back and finish this right here where that thing popped out on me. Do some detail in this, a little cross hatching up here. Let that come down. Oh, look what happened right there when I put that black on there. All that water, see where that water is still hanging out and just being my friend? Look, can you get too much water? Yeah, you'll know when that is because you'll say, ooh, it deadens some of my color. But for right now, I still like how it helps me get my color in. Put some grass strips in here that's not green, just painted with the pen, and I'm finished with that row. Heading into 223. All right. So there's a little idea on that. So, Pat, that's why I use tubes versus pans. I don't want to carry about a big, long pan like this if I don't need it. I don't even take this on the road. I took this to Paris. 10 days with this. With my little travel brush that I showed you a minute ago, and a pocket full of pens. I did take a pencil on that because I thought I'd be working on my journal. I thought I'd be working on this journal of Paris and Monet's garden when I was doing this stuff, and so and I thought, ooh, I want a pencil here because I'm not good at architectural drawings. Okay, so it took me a while to sketch out what I wanted to do, and then I'd spent about 10 minutes on this, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to paint it yet. So for reference, it's a white building, it's marble, I know. So I took off out of that and left it there. Same with this. This I just did a pencil sketch leaning on its side, and then I just went back and sat down with a cup of cappuccino, and I just started drawing in what I remembered of the Eiffel Tower. You forget what the Eiffel Towers look like. Well, everybody's got it on their phone. It's in every icon over there. Oh, and it's right around the corner. So I could do that. And so that's kind of how this journal came through. So for me to carry a pan of paints that I'd have to lay out the whole time and get to dry, and they got plastic lids on them, so I put them in a metal box. I close the lid on the box, I throw it in my pocket, and I'm gone. That's why I do it that way. I've tried to make this simple and make it work for guys like me who go, when I can sit at a restaurant while I'm waiting on them to bring the check back and open up my little Buffalo Jackson journal here that I keep same paper in. By the way, this paper in here is the same paper. The QR code is Roodoodles. This paper in here is the same paper as right here. I just cut it in smaller pieces that fit in here. I'll take this right here and I'll make a little painting. I'll write a note on it and I'll leave it. Gave one to a waitress the other night who just had the most fun saying, I'm going to have this framed. And I said, well, you better put, you know what my word is, right? You better put an expensive frame because I just gave it to you for free. All right, so there's my painting. I'm going to do one more and then we're out of here. Lots of water. Drop in the paint and just let it happen. You didn't see me doing a lot of this, which is what I have to do with other paints. Am I complaining about what you paint with? No, I don't care what you paint with. I just want you to be creative. But when you ask me about watercolor, this is how I do it, and this is how I keep it light. Look, there's lots of space in here. Chip was very quick yesterday. I was showing him a demo and something, and in the process of sort of painting upside down, I filled in a lot of the holidays. He said, you know, you didn't leave a lot of light spaces in there. And I go, yeah, and I can't get those back. And I long for that. I long to lighten up. You can always add more in. So come in light, except for the water. Start with a little heavier water this week and see what happens. I'm going to sign this right here. And then I'm going to put a caption on it before I'm done today. And I'm going to post it. And somebody's going to say, man, I want that little rooster because it reminds me of my grandfather when he used to go out in the yard and go, and now it's me. I think I sold a painting like this. He goes, what was it I came out here for? I don't even have to go out in the yard now. I just have to get to the garage refrigerator and go, why did I open this door? I wanted something. Was it cheese? Cheese. And that's how I have to do to go outside. I have to just keep saying it over and over. I'm going to drop that on the floor. I like it. Ooh, I like it from a distance too. I like it when a small piece of art pops on your wall. And that's what you want to sell somebody. That's what you want to put out. Practice most times the inexpensive ones. And Carol, I'm going to push you here a little bit because you've been on my show for a long time. The colors I use out of the tubes are brighter than the ones less expensive. I practice most time with the inexpensive ones, but I paint with, I would say, because they are different, I would say practice with what you use. Practice with what you give away. That's why I say buy 2 pads of paper. Look, a tube of paint, if you buy a 15 milliliter or a 37 milliliter tube of paint, My gosh, there's thousands of paintings in there. Right now I'm painting 2,000 honeybees, and I'm up to 826, and I have not filled this up with any paint since I started those bees, and I've still been painting roosters and other things out of this. It's an amazing amount of paint in that strong pigment. So I'm going to encourage you to use your good paints and use your, it's almost like practicing on a cheap instrument and then playing at the symphony with a better instrument. No, your hand motions, the neck feel, the strings, how the bow scratches on an instrument. Your instrument should be your instrument. So use the same instrument if you're playing the recital or if you're at Carnegie. And that's my illustration to that. I really do believe it. I paint with the same paints, the same paper, the same brushes most all the time. Do I ever change? Sometimes, sure. I'll just grab another piece of paper. Strathmore was Strathmore. Someone mentioned it this morning. Here's the thing. This is a Strathmore travel journal that came to me. Free little gift. There's some bees in it. My point is this, and I've ripped out all these pages, so I'm using it. But this paint shows a repetitive roughness that I do not like. When you look at it, you go, was this printed with a laser printer? What is it? It doesn't look natural. A rock looks natural. Wood has natural grain. It doesn't look like it's been printed on there. So I don't like that in this paper. This paper, which is 140-pound paper, that's not true. This is 90-pound paper. This is free, though. This is made by the same company that does fluid. It's made by Speedball, and so it really rolls nicely. There's finally got all the Christmas down. Now it's time to fish. There's my crab that I was painting. This is the one that I was painting on yesterday. Here's some shrimp. Chip's been working on shrimp. This is a little rooster that I've been painting that goes on the back. I think this was a rough out that I started doing the other day, and then I finished painting this, and it went out. Okay, so here we go. Let me grab a piece of this. Guess what? It's Kilimanjaro. It's 140-pound, bright white, 100% cotton. No different than the smaller piece I just used. I'm just going to paint a bigger roux on this real quickly, and I'm going to do it like this just for you guys. I haven't done this in a long time. About every 3 months, I bring this out at the end of the show. I'll put some music on here. Oops, sorry. I hit the wrong button. And let me go up and just grab a little bit of music here, and I'm going to grab these paints, and we'll shake them up for a second. Let me just put on some shake-up music here. A little classical, I think. And these are watercolors. We're talking about watercolor. These are colors that are filled with lots of water. This is a watercolor concentrate. They're in bottles. They're called Dr. P.H. Martin's. And I haven't had these out of this box in several months. So I'm just giving them a little shake here. And I'm just going to use blue, red, yellow, maybe a little carbon black, and maybe a touch of white. So that's it right there. If those colors work. We hope they do. So I'm gonna pull 5 colors there, and I'm just going to do this the way that I like doing it. Got on a white shirt, so that ought to be fun. Let me get my vest out of the way. Jason, I do like Pentel aqua brushes. I've come back to them fairly strong. I really do like them, actually. So I'm loving those. All right, so here we go. Just dropping a little bit of yellow on here like this. Dropping a little red on here like this. Yeah, this red is pretty. Let me see if this red is a little more active. Maybe going back to the art story. Oh, whoops. Yep, that one was alive and well. Okay, so I'm going to keep with my colors. Uh-oh, my blue's not flying either. I think the little daubers are frozen up a little bit. All right, so you guys have seen me do this 100 times. Here we go. Just a little blow. Oh, that one went on my shirt. All right, so grab a little bit of, give it this bigger bamboo brush here and see if we can make a rooster out of this. So now I'm just going to bring in, so because this watercolor was already so wet, now I can just throw a little water in here like this, and you can see it start to go places. And so for me now, I know where I'm going because I've painted over 5,000 roosters. I know how this is going to work. I'm going to grab some of this here and I'm going to make purple out of it. So I'm going to build this body out of this. coming in like this. Love it, how it's coming. Look at that. It's coming down. And then I want a little green, so watch this. I'm going to clean my brush out. There it is, clean brush coming in. Damp brush, I'm going to roll right in here and get some of this yellow right here. And then I'm going to come in and just grab that yellow right there, but I'm going to touch the blue to it because I want a little green coming down right here. Look at that color. They just mixed right on there like that. So what am I doing? I'm doing third grade stuff here with lots of water. Now, I'm going to come in right here and I'm going to grab some of this red, milk it up right here. It sounds probably a little hot, sorry. Carol says they're nostalgic. In that case, you paint some good things with them, Carol, and keep them. I'm not telling you not to use them. I'm just telling you that your paintings in the future might turn off a little better if you use the same stuff all the time. But you know what? You're in charge of you. So that's why I say there's no hard rules, except that make this show about watercolor. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to paint a beak on here like this. And then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to put a little more red in there. I thought I used up most of it. So I'm going to come in here. Watch this. I'm just going to come in here with a little bit like this and a little more up in his comb. I'm going to create his wattle just a little more like so. Boom. Let's see if this works. Grab that bamboo brush again. Come in here. Just do this. You see this is going to be just kind of a rough, chaotic looking roux. But I think you see where it's going to go if this all starts coming together a little bit. Come down here, and then I want a little bit of brown, so I'm going to come in here with a little blue and this red, and then I'm going to create a little bit of brown right here, a little bit of this green, and I've got a little leg that's going to come down like this, and then I'm going to put his feet down here like this. No sketching this, just so I want you to see how you can just play. And that's all I'm doing today. I'm just simply playing here. And we'll put this foot out here like this. We'll get some more of this color. Beautiful brown green that's coming in there. And like that leg, like he's been out walking in the cow pasture. I didn't mean that in a bad way. See how it starts to drag out right there, and my brush lightens up and gives it a little scuff look? That's because I'm dragging a dry brush. You can do that, by the way. You can drag a dry brush if you want to. Now let's erase a little spot right here. Let's just go in there and erase some of that yellow out. Look at that. And let's do a white spot right here. Let's see, erase that out a little bit. Get rid of that paper towel before I make a big mistake. Get another one over here. Oh, it's already dirty, but it'll work. Okay, so then I'm going to come in here with my pen, and I'm just going to draw a little eye of the roux right here. It is. And I'm going to do a little. And I'm going to come in with my pen and work backwards here. Now you go, wow, look how well he stayed into the lines. You go, no, he didn't. He put the lines in after he painted the roux. It works both ways, people. Don't complicate your world, okay? Say, wow. This is pretty classical music for a rooster painter. We'll do some more of these cross hatchings here like this. My point is, if you're not having fun with this, nobody else is going to connect to it and have fun either. So, just about out of time. Cheerful strut. All right. Always love these loose roux. Okay. Learned yesterday it's okay to come back to the painting later for finishing touches. You bet it is. Trained in Paris, just wandered into the bucket list category. Yeah, I'll tell you something. When there's an hour and 45-minute train ride from Paris out into South Brittany, or maybe it's only an hour. I think it's an hour 40, something like that. I don't know. We were heading out to Giverny and back, and I'm thinking, I cannot wait to paint on this train. Because, it's a high-speed train and things cruising along. You're drinking a cup of coffee and you're eating a little pastry. And you just got 2 or 3 simple tools there, and you're painting, and you're going like, this is the way journaling should be done. I felt a little bit opulent, and yet I'd gone on this trip for almost no money, and we were with a beautiful Frenchman who translated for us and saw everything as a Frenchman because he lived there until he was 18. He was in the French Army. So anyway, hope to do that in Israel coming up soon this next year. No trains, but we'll find some great places to. All right, I just took some white and I just dropped it in there. I'm just going to blow it a little bit, just like that. And then if it doesn't blow, I'm just going to take the handle of my brush and just drag it over in here like this. Look at this. I'm not taking the brush part. I'm just taking the handle of my brush and I'm dragging it in like this to just create a little bit of and then a little bit of white spot right in down in this red here like this, and then up here where the sun sort of shows some white glints. See, sometimes we work way too hard on our paintings to make them look like something that we think they're perfect, and they don't need to be perfect. They just need to be you artistically telling the story. We got some toenails on it there. We got some grass coming up like this. We need a little bit of green in here, so I could do that by grabbing some yellow, dropping it in just like this, and a little blue, drop that in. Or I could just go to my palette over here, for heaven's sakes, and get some green. I'm going to show you a little trick with this bamboo brush before I leave, and here it is right here. The grass here is okay with a pen, but let me make it a little bolder, so watch this. Okay, a little short, got a little short bamboo brush somewhere. That's not short, that's a shorter one. All right, here's a little short number one, a little short one. Okay, so look, I'm going to wet it. I'm going to take it like this. I'm going to get a little paint in it, a little green paint, maybe a little yellow paint, a little green paint, a little yellow paint over here. And then look what I'm going to do with my brush. Can you see it right there? I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to rip it open like this. Goat hair, remember? Goat hair. Just pulling it open like this. Pulling it open like this. Can you see what I'm doing? And then I'm just going to take that brush and I'm just going to drift it up like this. And my grass painting days are over. Okay, I'll tell you what the Japanese can do with these brushes in their style of calligraphy and art is just amazing. My connection with Yasutoma and my painting with them out of California is to use these brushes for regular watercolor and have fun and teach people to use them that way. So there we go. There's my little rooster all painted loose. If you can't get looser than this, people, I think this needs a little touch of yellow before it's 10 o'clock, before I get out of here. I got to go find something to eat. I could eat a mama bear and her cubs right now. Okay. And then, of course, we need a little sky. You know, I never have a rooster completely without sky, so let's just put a little sky in there. So we'll just tap some of this around, just give him some spots here. And I'm loving it. That's really the only sky he's going to get right there. Roodoodles.com. Kids call me Roo because my last name is Hahn. It means rooster in German, and I paint roosters, and that's what I do. There are good watercolors sold in pans. Yes, there are. And some of them are really thick and good. They're just a little heavy for travel for me. And so there's lots of reasons why I use it. It's not that I'm against any other art form. For heaven's sakes, if all you have is a pencil, go make art today. So there's some great suggestions on here. Thank you for that. Let's see. What else in the last here? Pat Brooks, thank you. Appreciate the start of your year. Okay. Love the white spots you added. Jason, let's chat. I got an idea for you, and I'll tell you about it. It's kind of crazy. It's right down your question lane. So here we go, people. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Need a little fanfare music. Here, wait, let me show you this painting. Here it is, almost dry. Not yet, but almost. No caption on it yet. There's the first painting I did this morning. So he'll come out on auction, and I like him. So he passed my first rule already. I like him. I like him a lot. But he needs one little spot of yellow. So there, look, I'm going to go back and I'm going to add just a touch of yellow on this leg right here and on that one. And that's too much, so I'm going to erase some of that. Boop. There it is. That's perfect. And might go in and add a little more of this effect right here and then put his little nostril in. And maybe he's got a little bit of some, you know, it's the first of the year. He got some new eyelashes for Christmas. Okay. All right, there we go. Blessings. Probably don't know if I'll see you. Can't find the dang mule. Yeah, if you can find the mule, put your hands to the plow and stay behind the mule if you want to learn watercolor. It's watercolor. Oh my gosh. Put the water in and then add the color.